What's up, guys? Welcome to Sterling on Cinemas. That's Cinemas with an S. And today I'll be giving you my review on Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, if you're new to this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment on the section below, and most importantly, watch. So, Spider-Man Homecoming. Let's get started. Thrilled by his experience with the Avengers and Captain America Civil War, young Peter Parker returns home to live with his Aunt May. Under the watchful eye of his mentor Tony Stark, Parker starts to embrace his newfound identity as his friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He also tries to return to his normal daily routine, distracted by thoughts of proving himself to be more than just a friendly neighborhood superhero, but to be a big-time Avenger. Peter must soon put his powers to test to prove his worth as an Avenger when the evil Vulture emerges to threaten everything that he holds dear. So, how do I feel about the story of Spider-Man Homecoming? Like I told y'all in the Black Panther review, I love Spider-Man. He is one of the best characters in all of comic books. He's the best Marvel superhero. He is the flagship character of the brand. And the story of Spider-Man Homecoming felt like the perfect layout on how the life of Peter Parker should be portrayed, especially in his early stages as a superhero and how he has to balance high school and crime fighting. It's perfect. And this iteration of Spider-Man is actually based off of the one that, from my time, the Ultimate Spider-Man, the one that was retconned from the 90s and the 80s, 70s, and 60s, the Ultimate Spider-Man, the one where he actually did fight the Vulture and the Tinkerer from 2001. This was one of the few instances where Marvel added yet another layer to the franchise, giving it more variety. And in this case, Spider-Man Homecoming is a Marvel movie disguised as a high school film. The tone is a little reminiscent of a John Hughes high school comedy from the 80s. Spider-Man Homecoming, just like Black Panther, keeps his story self-contained, because despite only being a small pawn of a much larger chessboard, Marvel and Sony managed to mostly develop Peter Parker's personal story arc while reminding viewers that it's in the same universe as the Avengers, which is the reason that this Spider-Man is finally in his rightful place and is here to stay. Tom Holland, you are Spider-Man. Now, the characters in Spider-Man Homecoming. The characters in this movie is just what a Spider-Man movie should have, especially if it's his first solo adventure in the MCU. First of all, Tom Holland's take on Spider-Man is relatable, witty, energetic, lots of fun, just as he should be. And he's in that mindset of, I want to help, I want to be involved, and that's good. He's young, he's underdeveloped, and he's flawed. Marvel Studios' casting of Michael Keaton as Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture, I would have never thought even fitted well in the beginning, but I would have thought better, because the one who was originally cast for Vulture for the scrapped Spider-Man 4, John Malkovich, he would have fit better because he's bald and he already has a pointy nose. But Michael Keaton is actually made Vulture one of the most memorable villains, Spider-Man villains, and one of the MCU's villains with a very justifiable reason as to why he does what he does in this movie, which is simply trying to provide for his family. And plus, he's such a great villain that he can be intimidating without this robotic costume. There's also another character in this movie that is entertaining to watch and who is so loyal to Peter in this movie. And I'm not talking about Tony Stark. We all love Tony Stark. RDJ, you are here to stay. Rest in peace. I'm talking about Jacob Batalon's character, Ned Leeds. But speaking of Tony Stark, even though he is a minor character and doesn't play much of a big role in this movie, he is seen more as a mentor figure to Peter in this movie and the MCU overall. And before I go forward, that was one of the biggest criticisms with this Spider-Man at the time, that he was seen more like an Iron Man Jr. rather than his own playboy superhero. Because in the comics, he's not no Iron Man sidekick. He's his own separate hero. Sometimes he fights with Spider-Man, yes, but that doesn't make him a direct protege of Iron Man. Now, this part of the review isn't usually on my normal routine, but I just wanted to get this out and share it for those of you who are kind of interested in how Spider-Man is even in the MCU in the first place. Now, if you're a huge MCU fan, you already know, but this is for the ones who don't. In 2015, here's how it started. Story time, people. In 2015, while Marvel was in development for Captain America Civil War, they knew that Spider-Man's appearance would be extremely important. So, since they couldn't use the character directly, they decided to start a partnership. Because if y'all remember in the beginning, way before the MCU, way before the 21st century, Marvel was bankrupt. It's a long story, but in a nutshell, Marvel was bankrupt, so they sold all their characters to different film studios, and Spider-Man was one of them. He was sold onto Sony. And the deal was started between the two at this time. The deal goes as follows. Spider-Man would appear only in Marvel Studios productions as a supporting character in films like Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. And characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universe would be supportive in Spider-Man's Tom Holland Spider-Man solo projects produced by Sony. Get it? It's a win-win. And the deal will still continue. Like, there was a little bit of a dysfunction in like 2019 because Spider-Man Far From Home was very successful, made the first Spider-Man movie to gross over $1 billion. So, like I said, this is a long story too, but let me explain. Sony wanted to take Spider-Man back. They wanted to take him all back. And briefly, he was gone for the MCU, only for him to come back. And I did pray that he would come back to the MCU because he has been great. He has filled the last 3 years before 2019 with a lot of great moments. Moments both with himself and him and the other superheroes. But also, this new deal allows his universe to cross over with the Venomverse, which is what we could potentially see in the upcoming Morbius movie later next year, and what we are supposed to see in the upcoming Spider-Man 3. So, Rotten Tomatoes gives Spider-Man Homecoming a 92% score. Not bad. Now, I'll give it... Spider-Man Homecoming was a very personal story with funny characters and solid connections to the MCU and very Easter eggs that are easy to catch. Like, these Easter eggs in a movie, they said whether they're saying it verbally or showing it on screen, they're easy to catch. There's nothing you should really miss in this movie, to be honest. So for that, I would give it 9.2 SOs out of 10. That is my review on Spider-Man Homecoming. You can let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. Do you like it better than Far From Home? If you don't, that's okay. I like Far From Home better than this one. Or is this your favorite Spider-Man movie out of all the ones we have gotten? You can let me know what you kindly think in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys later with my next video. Bye.